Oh, hey pal, welcome back to the theater. I was just reading my Camp Crystal Lake book here, and I thought, when my pal shows up, I think it's time that we discuss Friday the 13th, Part 2, written by Ron Kurz and directed by Steve Miner. Jason is back! Technically, Jason is here. Welcome back to the campfire, my friend. Let's discuss Part 2, the film that essentially restarts the franchise and sets it on the correct path. Of course, we're talking about the Jason Voorhees kill legacy. Here, the film begins with kind of a shocking sequence, something that I think is still shocking to this day and most likely shocked the hell out of people watching it back in theaters back in the day. This film was from 1980 something or other, 1981. So right after seeing the first one, this shot the theaters. People who enjoyed the first one came to check this out. You see your final girl in the opening scene, and she gets killed. She gets freaking killed hardcore. I should mention I'm talking spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Come on back. I'll still be here, and we'll continue from this point. That's something that's never happened before, the brutal death of the last film's final girl. I think that sets a precedent, and not only right out the gate saying Jason is the real killer, he's brutal, no one will escape his wrath, so to speak, and, get the fuck out of his way, stay out of the fucking woods. He's gonna kill you. No matter what, he will get you. Even if he has to go into the suburbs, and this is one of the first times he actually goes into the suburbs to murder someone in Michael Myers style. But he does it. She gets an ice pick through the head. It is brutal. And, I do like that the sequence sort of has that low energy, empty space feeling of the first film, kind of keeping with that feel. And then as soon as Adrian King dies, the energy picks up. One thing I like about this movie is that there's no dead air. It's full of life, full of energy, and it's exciting to watch. There's no dead space in this movie, and that's the good news. Timeline-wise, we pick up 5 years after the events of Part 1. I'm not going to bore you with the plot. What happens here, of course, new campers come in. They're opening the camp again. It's been 5 years. Time to open the camp again. They're training to be counselors. Blah blah blah. Jason is pissed and he kills them. That's the plot. I'm not gonna go into further detail on that. You know the score by now. But for those of you keeping score at home, last time for the review of Part 1, we figured out that Jason was 36 years old at the time of Part 1. If we're 5 years later, Jason is a 41-year-old man. Keep that in mind. 41 years old. And that's what he's going to remain as for the remainder of the franchise, essentially, because from what I remember, 2, 3, and 4 are concurrent with each other, and then he becomes a zombie, and he doesn't age. So we're talking about a 41-year-old man. That's believable. I'm 41. I can see myself if I lived in the woods and had grudges against people having sex. I could totally become a slasher under those circumstances. So let's talk stats, because that's the fun part. How many kills are in this movie? Well, we copied the first one. We have 10 kills, and this time only one happens off screen. I believe her name is Brenda. Again, I'm not going to strain my brain remembering the fodder, as it were, for Jason's kills, but I believe her name was Brenda, a cute girl. She's actually our one and only nude scene. There's only one nude scene, believe it or not. You would think these movies are very boob-heavy, but they're not. As a matter of fact, she goes skinny dipping. That's how we see her in the buff. But there is one love-making scene featuring a girl with an ample bosom. Unfortunately, we don't really get to see her naked, so I didn't count it as a nude scene. There is one nude scene and one love-making scene, so technically two skin-tastic sequences, but only one full-on nude sequence. This movie's final girl is Ginny, played by the amazing Amy Steele. I'm a big Amy Steele fan. I think a lot of people consider Amy Steele one of the best final girls in the franchise. She's great here. Unfortunately, rewatching this, I didn't realize how little time she actually spends running away from Jason. She's really only face-to-face with Jason for maybe the last 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes of the movie, which is kind of surprising. It's a very much a Laurie Strode type situation, but she handles herself quite capably, and Ginny is one of the best final girls in the franchise for sure. Favorite kill in this one is going to be Wheelchair Guy. I don't remember his name, but he's very distinctive because he's in a wheelchair. He's, at the moment, right before he gets killed, he's waiting to get some action. The girl went off to freshen up. Her idea of freshening up is to spray perfume on her pubes. All right? Yes, Wheelchair Guy is waiting to get some action. He goes outside because he hears a noise, of course, and he gets a machete in the face. Epic effect. It looks great. Obviously, it's a cheap thing that anyone can pull off nowadays, but it looks really good. It's really shocking, really unique. It shows the power of Jason as well, to put a machete to somebody's skull like that. Fantastic. Great kill. Really memorable. So mythology-wise, what do we learn about Jason and the world of Friday the 13th in this movie? Well, first of all, this is, of course, Baghead Jason, and this is sort of how people refer to this movie, Sackhead Jason. But we don't see him. We don't see Jason in a sack until an hour and 5 minutes into the movie. This movie's an hour and 26 minutes long, so we don't really establish Jason until almost the end of the film. Is that a bad thing? No, not necessarily, but for me it's interesting just to note how things become iconic with so little screen time. I mean, an hour and 5 minutes into a 86-minute movie is kind of interesting to me that he's become so iconic just because we saw him a little bit. Now, at one point, he's unmasked and he jumps through a window, and we see what Jason currently looks like as a 41-year-old, in the woods mongoloid guy. And he's still mongoloid, but he's got he didn't look like I really pictured. I remember, maybe I blocked it out because I don't remember him ever looking like this, but I haven't seen this movie in a long time. He has long, stringy, red hair and a beard. So he kind of looks like a mongoloid hillbilly redneck. Huh. Yeah. I didn't know. I don't remember Jason looking that way. And I kind of wish we hadn't seen that, because now he just looks stupid. Speaking of stupid, this movie has a cop-out ending. It doesn't really end. It's one of those things where you're like, wait, what? What happened? All of a sudden, Jason breaks in, redneck Jason breaks in, with his stupid, pube hair. He breaks into the window, with his mongoloid face and his just dumb look. He breaks into the window, he grabs Amy Steele, and he puts his Ozark hillbilly face next to her. This is weird. Anyway, he breaks into the window, he grabs Amy Steele, and we fade to white like this. Fades to white. And then it cuts to Amy Steele, Ginny, being loaded into an ambulance. She's like, oh, where's Paul? Where's Paul? That's the end of the goddamn movie. What the fuck? I don't remember that. I don't remember that being the ending. Maybe I'm living some kind of Mandela effect thing here, but I remember there being an ending. But anyway, somehow she lived, and somehow Paul died. I'm counting Paul among the dead. I think most people do, because he's not there. But why did Jason let Ginny live? Why did Paul die? How did Paul die? Why didn't we fucking see Paul die? But I digress. Paul dies off screen. That is an off-screen death. And wait a minute. Then there's two off-screen deaths. Yeah, there's two off-screen deaths then, because Paul dies off-screen. Wow, what the God, that's so weird. Yeah, it's Brenda. Brenda dies off-screen, and Paul. What the hell? That's so weird. So we fade to white, and Ginny somehow survived. Yeah, maybe she blacked out, and Jason said, I'm good. She's Amy Steele. She's kind of cute. I'm gonna go back to the woods. And then he walks off. For some reason, he doesn't kill her. From what I remember, I don't think Amy Steele comes back. Is she in part 3? Well, we'll find out. We're going to be watching these in order, so stay tuned for the next Master Chaos Theater. We'll take a look at part 3D. But for this one, really, really awkward ending, and I really didn't enjoy that. Overall, that's why I'm going to give the movie 2 stars. Now, I did like this one a lot better than part 1, but that really bizarre cop-out ending that's not an ending, mixed with the fact that I wish Ginny and Jason spent more time together, mixed with the fact that I wish I saw Jason a little bit more. I feel in the context of the series as a whole, This still feels pretty weak, pretty much a placeholder, not much of an interesting one, not one that you need to really write home about in terms of like, oh, if you see any Jason movie, watch part 2, because it's pretty much the same thing as part 1. You could skip this one and then you'd be fine. It's unnecessary, which is why I think I downgraded it. And I'm being very brutal with these reviews, like I mentioned in part 1. I probably would have leaned towards more of a 3, but being brutal, I'm going to go with a 2. That's my feeling on this one. Let's talk special features, because that is why we are here. First up is My Life and Ginny is an interview with Amy Steele. I should clarify that this is an audio-only interview. It's a podcast that they put on the disc. Audio-only is not interesting to me. It's 33 minutes, too, so it's a good chunk of interview with Amy. Very informative. I just kind of skipped through, to be honest, because I don't like just audio only. Next up is a featurette titled Inside Crystal Lake Memories, the book. It is a featurette, about 11 minutes, hosted by Del Howison, who is an author and also the owner of Dark Delicacies, an amazing store here in Los Angeles. He interviews Peter Bracke, the author of the book, Crystal Lake Memories, sort of how it came about, all the moving pieces, how he got the interviews together, all that kind of stuff. So it's all based around the book and how it came to life. Next is a documentary that I was very excited to check out, but I was a little disappointed by the content. It's called Friday's Legacy: Horror Conventions, and I thought it would be sort of a featurette looking at Friday's appeal at horror conventions and its fan base and the celebrities at the conventions and things like that. It's kind of like that, but it's really focusing around one convention. I believe it was called Scream Fest, something like that. Shriek Fest, Scarefest, I think is what it was. It's really just a documentary on one convention and the Friday the 13th celebrities that attend it. Also included on here is part 2 of Lost Tales from Camp Blood. It's about 9 minutes, the second installment here. I would skip it if you're asking my opinion. Like I said, it's just a fan film, not necessarily having anything to do with the franchise itself. So if you like fan films, check it out. But it's superfluous content that I feel like they just kind of threw on there to have some more stuff. But it's unnecessary in the grand scheme of things. What isn't unnecessary are the slashed scenes. What we have here is 4.5 minutes of footage from the special effects guy's VHS tape, which includes the lost, gorier kills in the movie. And it's great. I will warn you, it's VHS quality, and it's silent. So there's no music, and no audio. I don't know why it's silent, honestly. There should at least be, camera sound. I mean, unless they're dailies, but it feels like it's but it's cut. They're not work prints or anything, or rough dailies. I feel like it's cut footage, like it's a VA, like it's, an extended VHS copy. So I don't know why there wouldn't be any sound. At least a wild track or something. Anyway, nothing, but silent footage. But you see, one of the most illuminating things is you see poor Alice, our final girl from the last film. You see an extended version of her death. You see the ice pick go through her temple, and she turns to the camera, and it's gone through the bridge of her nose. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Really creepy, really scary looking, really, really effective. Almost makes that death even more shocking to see what actually happens to her, and how it probably didn't kill her, and he probably did a lot more to her. So there's basically more extended kills, more extended gore, a lot more, I forget the dude's name, but the guy who's hanging from the tree, you see more of his neck gushing out all over his face. So basically it adds juice to the movie, and it's really good, really interesting to see all that kind of stuff. And probably if it was baked into the movie, re-edited in, it probably would have raised my score on this one, unfortunately. But slash scenes, 100% check that out. 4 minutes of your life, and you get to see the gorier kills. 100% worth it. Well, pal, that'll do it for me. It's time to close the theater down. Thank you for joining me here at the campfire in the theater. I've got to pull the curtain closed on the silver screen. Thank you for joining me on the discussion for Friday the 13th Part 2, Scream Factory Edition. I'm very excited to be re-digging into these films. I hope you're excited excited, I should say, to join me in rediscussing the films. Please, this is a two-way conversation, so let me know in the comments what you think. It's fun to disagree, especially with these movies. Everyone has their favorites, but it's also fun to agree and just converse. So did you like this movie? Is this your favorite one? Is this your least favorite one? Please let me know in the comments down below. While you're at it, please also subscribe. My name is Master Chaos. I want to be your best YouTube buddy. I'm doing the entire franchise. I hope you'll join me for that. Well, pal, remember to bolt your doors and lock your windows. I want you safe until we meet again. I wish you a very pleasant good day, good evening, or good night. Like I said, I'm your friend in the neighborhood, Master Chaos, and you have been entertained.